And thanks for tuning in for our ongoing live coverage of CMA Industry Week. Today, spotlighting Gemsen Distribution and all their great partners. Let's go ahead and bring on my partner in crime today, Mr. Dave.
Ben, how are you?
We're getting through them. We're knocking them down one at a time. This one's a big one, though. This one's a big one.
This is
lots of people tuning in for this one for sure.
You know, and obviously that team that we're going to introduce real soon. I mean, they knock it out of the park every time. You know, but I'm going to bring somebody else in with this conversation. Mike O'Connor. He's our VP, another familiar face at Gemsen, VP of Sales and Marketing. You know, he's been extremely close with the Kicker guys for decades, and I thought, who better to introduce Kicker than Mike?
Well, I guess we should bring him in, Mr. Mike O'Connor. How's it going, Mike?
You know, I thought the first time I would be on live TV would be on the news. Somebody looking for me for something that I shouldn't have got caught doing, but it's a much better way to come on live TV or live streaming. I'm really excited that you guys asked someone as old as me to be involved in this.
Well, we're very happy to have you. I knew it would just be a question of time before we get you on here.
Well, it's great. I've been watching through everybody's stuff for the last week or so, and hats off to you, Dave, and obviously to Ben and Frank for taking something in a really strange world and making it work for everybody. Maybe even in a much better way than visiting CES or SEMA or any of these events.
Well, I'm very happy that you're a Gemsen and your entire team is a part of it. How could we do this without you guys? Seriously, right?
Well, that's why we're getting paid so much by you guys to be on this.
That's right. That's right. Just scratching them checks, passing them checks. All right, we've got a really big presentation ahead. We're going back to Kicker Studios and their Unmasked studio. We had them earlier on when they showcased their marine product, but now we're going into their car audio product. So you know what, Mike, I'm going to pass it over to you so we can introduce Kicker. How long have you been with them?
We've been doing Kicker for, Dave and I were just discussing that it's been over 15 years.
Wow, long relationship.
I don't know if you want me to discuss this now or wait till you get our friends up on the screen, but it really is a family relationship. The fortunate thing with being in business as long as Gemsen, which is approximately 40 years, you get to pick your partners. We don't have any partners that we do business with today that we don't choose to do business with. And I have to say that the team that Steve Irby has built and the ingenuity and the enthusiasm that their team has comes through not only in their products, but in their connection and partnering with the dealers, which is almost more important than product these days. Nobody wants to talk, or say that product's not important, but the ability to have a supplier support their retailer and support even the end consumer in what's right for the vehicle, how to make it work, and how to make the right decisions has become, more important than ever, especially with the complexity of cars and the complexity of the information out there and even the revs that car manufacturers are doing along these days to try and change even speaker sizes or anything like that. So, the latest adaptation of Kicker Unmasked that, is something that's been unsurpassed by any other brand in the industry is incredible. I was at a very large retailer the last little while, and I was talking about it and how it's taken something that's really poor and, disturbing in the world right now, such as COVID, and allowed us to understand that we can do things even better than we were. And we actually have to thank COVID for some of these tools that you guys are providing, but even more so, even things like, I've been in that boardroom that Kip and Aaron are in, and what they've done to make it appealing and interesting for the viewer is incredible. Those guys deserve, a tip of the hat or a tip of anything, maybe even just a cash tip from everybody viewing. But, it's incredible what they've managed to do for our industry and to keep everybody excited about what's going on while we're kind of in a vacuum.
Hey, Kip, I hope you're hearing this introduction. I couldn't have done that.
After something like that, I'm just trying to find my phone and give you my Cash App profile because I'll take cash.
Well, Kip and I have been friends and colleagues for a long time, as well as Aaron. We've spent a lot of time outside of Kicker as well as on and in supporting dealers. And I just wanted to let the viewership, as well as whoever else is watching this later, that these guys at Kicker live and breathe what they're doing. This isn't a job. It's not a job for guys like Dave and myself and the people at Gemsen either. This is what we do every day and have been doing it for a long time. So you should feel privileged and really respect what these guys are bringing forward to you. And I appreciate all the effort you guys are doing at Kicker, Kip and Aaron, and Steve investing in this project, as well as Steve, being the man behind the brand. It's really important to see how well and how much you guys are willing to give back.
Well, I certainly appreciate it. After an intro like that, I don't know that I can live up to it, but in the most sincere way I can say it is thank you for that, and understand that corporately we are able to do what we do because it comes from the top down. And unfortunately, Steve wasn't able to join us tonight. He was scheduled to be on here. I'm going to give a little brief thing about that for Steve, but Steve wants to send along his well wishes. Thank you for this, and it's all because of him we can do this. So thank you. I'm humbled by what you have said.
All right, let's get started.
Let's get going. Kip, you now have the floor, Kip. Take it away.
Hello, everyone. This is Kip, your host for Kicker Unmasked Live Weekly, every Tuesday night, 7:30 Central Time, right here on the Kicker Facebook and YouTube channels. We are pleased as punch to be joining the CMA Industry Week. Hello, everyone. Kip back at you here. We are proud to be coming to you live from the Kicker Unmasked studios here in Stillwater, Oklahoma, joining CMA Industry Week. I am your host, Kip Litzy. I'm going to duck in here just a little bit, give you a short background on the brand, and then we're going to get Aaron Malin. He is our global tech force manager / trainer. He's in charge of all the guys that go out and train on product, and he's going to cover all of the 12-volt products we have available for you for this year. So hang tight for that in just a second. A lot of people don't know how Kicker as a company was started, and it was actually founded by Steve Irby himself back in 1973 in a single-car garage, about 300 square feet here in Stillwater, Oklahoma. And when Steve founded the company, Steve has a musician. He is a musician. He went to college for arts, and Steve has a passion for music. He has a passion for people. He has a passion for Christ, and he believes in Christianity, and he believes that those things are what have guided him through his life. And when he started the company, it was strictly pro sound. We're talking about stage monitors, live sound reinforcement, things like that. Steve was into big sound, big power. And back in 1973, car audio wasn't what you know today. We're talking about 4-track players, 8-track players were starting to come out. If anything, you might have had a power booster under the dash that gave you that great big 40 watts of power. You're talking about Gemsen triac speakers, things like that. It really wasn't, as you know, car audio today. And here in Oklahoma, the oil boom was going on big back in 1973, and Steve actually had a friend of his reach out and said, I've got customers coming into my store, and they're looking for something small and portable that gives them big sound that they could put in the seats of their pickup trucks. So they could run out to the oil field, they can enjoy great sound out there. When they take a break and they're there sitting eating their lunch, they could pull it out and set it on the tailgate and actually listen to great tunes. And then when they're done for the day, they could throw the thing back behind the seat and they could have great tunes rolling back home. And Steve, like anyone who was passionate about audio, but he was passionate about pro sound and big sound, he actually turned the guy down several times. And as any of you have seen the line from the movie, if you ask me 3 times, I have to say yes. So after 3 times, Steve finally said yes, and he caved into it. And Steve designed up this original speaker that, as we all know and love today, became known as the Kicker. And when Steve built one of these up, he went over with his friends and buddies, and they put it behind the seat of a pickup truck, and they fired it up for that first time. And everyone's reaction was, wow, this thing really kicks butt. And of course, knowing Steve, he couldn't call it the butt kicker, and that's where Steve says, I think I'll just call this the Kicker. And that is the birth of what became the start of this company as being legendary in not only 12-volt automotive, but in all the other categories that we manufacture products into. And it's really, we are still Stillwater Designs and Audio Incorporated to this day, but no one knows who we are. Everyone knows us as Kicker. It's almost like if you ask for a Kleenex, you don't care if it's a Scott tissue. It's kind of just a call-out name for an entire product category. If I ask for a Coke, it's okay if you get me a Mr. Pibb. It has just become a name synonymous with a product category, and everyone knows, hey, you got any Kicker boxes? Sometimes they don't even know what brand they're asking for. They just know that Kicker is the brand that made those type of products very, very exciting and sound very good and easy to put into your car. So that's kind of how Kicker started. Of course, everything you'll see from us today is a culmination of the last 48 years of us developing products right here in Stillwater, Oklahoma. So with that said, I'd love to bring on board Mr. Aaron Malin. Aaron, if you'll come join me. Give me one right there, everyone. This is Mr. Aaron Malin. He is in charge of our complete Tech Force department. Sometimes it's like herding cats.
Yes, all the time.
All the time, it's like herding cats. But Aaron is up to speed on all of the new products, and I'm not going to say car audio, and I think Aaron would agree with me. We're talking this is 12-volt mobile audio because
Correct.
there's a lot of categories you're going to cover.
Correct.
So with that said, I'm going to dip out for just a little bit, but I will be back. And Aaron, why don't you take it away and let them know what's new from Kicker for 12-volt mobile audio for 2021.
Thank you, Kip.
Thank you. Take it away.
Boy, it's nice to have this whole stage to myself. Have to show the oxygen or anything. Now, we have several products as indicated, but the most exciting to me, other than this guy here, the most exciting product to me is the power bars. Power bars are exciting to me because these fit so many applications, not just power sports, not just marine, not just mobile, but I can imagine seeing these on patios. In fact, that's where I want my first one to go, is on my patio. So in the power bars, we have two sizes, large and extra large. And the power bar is a self-contained amplified music solution. So it has a Bluetooth transceiver built in, so any audio device that has Bluetooth transmission capability will work with the power bars, either of them. In addition, because it's self-amplified, the installation is very simple. You've got a couple of wires, and then you've got an auxiliary input and a line output. Now, you're probably wondering, why would you need an auxiliary input if you've got Bluetooth capabilities? Well, imagine for just a minute that you want to put this on a boat. Now, on a boat, you might have a traditional source unit. You could take that RCA output, that line output, and go to the line input or the aux input on one of the Bluetooth transceivers and built in. And that would give you more expansion capabilities. In addition, with the line output, we can now add subwoofers. Of course, if you've got a vehicle like this back here, and you've got plenty of mids and highs from your power bar, but now you want to add some bass to it. How do you do that? You use the line output, go into a traditional power sports amplifier, and then add subwoofers. So the expandability is built in on the inside and on the outside. In addition, we have what's called broadcast mode. Now this is incredibly exciting. Broadcast mode simply means that with one device, with this phone, I can play almost unlimited power bars from one device. So for example, let's say I've got my phone connected to this power bar here, but my buddy's got another side-by-side next to me at the campfire. He's got another Kicker power bar, doesn't matter which size. He and I can listen to the same music through our power bars from one device. Likewise, if maybe you got a party barge and you've got 4 of these on your party barge, they're all playing exactly the same music from one device. So you can link up, we see the practical limitations about 100. We could link up 100 of these all at the same time, and that gives us huge flexibility. So that's the power bars. The remote control, I didn't touch on this just yet, but the remote control is included, and the remote control will allow you to control 1, 2, 3, up to 10 units simultaneously from one remote. So if you've got 4 of these on your party barge, one remote controls all 4 of them at the same time. And this remote control is rechargeable. It's got a lithium-ion battery in it. It'll give you several days of use on a single charge, depending, of course, on how often you press volume up, volume down. It also has your source selector, so if you've got an auxiliary source hooked up, it'll allow you to select that as well. Speaking of auxiliary sources, so if you've got one of these hooked up to an auxiliary input, maybe it's coming off an old iPod. John Myers has got a whole drawer full of iPods because he likes a lot of recorded music. So you can actually hook up your old iPod to one of these, and it'll broadcast that signal to all of them in your party barge as well. So using the aux input, you still have that party mode. So the remote control is included. It comes with this nice little strap you can put on your steering wheel, or you can put on your wrist if you've got a really skinny wrist, or whatever it is that you need to put this to control your system. So that does it for power bars. Next up, I want to talk about the SPM3. These are a motorcycle solution for motorcycles that don't have fairings. A lot of guys call them bar bikes. I wouldn't call it a bar bike because I'm not riding a motorcycle to a bar. But a bar bike means you don't necessarily have a fairing, but you still want to have great sound on that bike, so you want to sit in the parking lot and jam out. Well, these speakers are designed for a motorcycle that doesn't have a fairing because they'll attach to the handlebars. Or in any vehicle that has a handlebar, or even a square tube. Let's say you've got a golf car and it's got those upright support tubes that are square. We actually include a square insert bracket for that, so you can use these on a square tube as well. They come in 2 ohm and 4 ohm. Now you're probably wondering, why do you need that option? Most car stereo speakers are just 4 ohm, right? Well, yeah, but what if you want to use 2 pair of these and you want to have a PXI BT 100.2 amplifier? That thing runs down to 2 ohms. So you could do 2 pairs of these at 4 ohms. But if you're just going to run one pair, if you use the 2 ohm model, you're getting twice the power. So you're going to get all the power out of that PXI BT100.2 with just a single pair of these. So those are going to be coming out at some point this year. Next up, I got to go to my cheat sheet. Hold on a second. There's lots to talk about. I want to show you forced air cooling. Now, forced air cooling, this is a technology that we have built into more and more of our subwoofers as time's gone by. In fact, we actually started using this technology without telling anybody about it because we kind of wanted to see just how great it was going to be. So the original L7T, the L7 thin square subwoofers, actually incorporated this technology before the more recent models. But what is it exactly? Of course, we all know about power handling, right? So does this forced air cooling increase power handling? Not exactly. It increases abuse handling. Abuse? What are you talking about? We don't abuse subwoofers. Yeah, right. Yeah, you do. So what we're doing is we're allowing the motor to cool itself more efficiently. So these little holes in the back, Tim, I'm going to see if you can get a shot on that. Show the audience here. So these little holes in here, these actually are what we call the forced air ducts. So these will allow the voice coil, when it's in motion, to pump air in and out of the gap. So when this subwoofer is banging hard, it's actually going to be cooling itself more rapidly because the more air it moves, the more cooling you have. So this is incorporated in all of our latest generation subwoofers, and we'll actually be adding it to other subwoofer lines as they are redone. Every couple of years we revamp our subwoofer lineup. So the forced air cooling technology increases the long-term longevity of the subwoofers, but not necessarily the power handling. Kip's going to talk more about that when he jumps on the SoloX a little later. Speaking of SoloX, ding, 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 that's the keyword tonight. Write down SoloX. If you can't spell it, well, Google it. You'll find plenty of good images for that. So write down SoloX, because that's the keyword tonight. So the forced air cooling is featured in the Comp RT. And again, we want to talk about the Comp RT loaded enclosures. Now the TRTP, down-firing enclosures, these have been available for a couple of years now. But these have been so massively successful that we've expanded the options with different lines of subwoofers. So for example, now we have the Comp, whoops, someone's glasses. For example, we have the Comp VT, the original thin, round, kicker round subwoofer. The Comp VT, or I like to call it the very thin, the supermodel subwoofer, this now comes in a down-firing enclosure as well. If you're new to down-firing enclosures, there's a couple of huge advantages. First of all, it's the durability of the subwoofer itself. Now, if you've got an SUV or a traditional hatchback or a trunk, and you want to be able to put something on top of this subwoofer, you can do that. So maybe it's a golf clubs, maybe like me, I've got a 3.5-year-old, so we're still using the stroller. You can put your stroller on top of this, you can put your groceries on top of this, you can put your dog and cat on top of this, and they're not going to damage the subwoofer. In fact, if you check out our video, there's a clip of Ken Bundy, one of our trainers. He and I are jumping on top of one of these enclosures to show you how sturdy it is. You can put virtually anything on top of this. So that's one advantage. In addition, you also get the advantage of having a down-firing subwoofer which is now loaded off the floor. Well, what does that mean? That means we're actually amplifying the subwoofer's output because we're now boundary loading it. We're loading it off the floor of the vehicle, which gives you a gain of 3 or so dB of output. So the subwoofer, down-firing, increases output, increases durability, and lastly, one of my favorite things, if you turn it around in your hatchback or your SUV, the bad guys don't even know you got a subwoofer because it just looks like this, a piece of cargo. So down-firing technology, kicker subwoofers, fantastic upgrade to any base system. Now I mentioned we have a couple of new entries, Comp VT, but also the Comp series. The Comp has been around for many, many years. It's been updated several times in all those years, but it is our bargain basement. Oh my gosh, that's a ton of bass for a great price point. So with the new down-firing Comp series subwoofer loaded enclosures, we have a 10-inch and a 12-inch. So you still get a small down-firing enclosure, but at a great price point. And because these subwoofers are modestly rated for power, you don't need a huge amplifier to get them banging. With as little as 150 watts RMS, the 10 or the 12 will give you unbelievable bass response in the new down-firing enclosure. Let's move on to the new KS speakers. Okay, so you got great bass, but now you want to hear some highs, right? Some mids and highs. So here we have the new KS series 6x9 component, but instead of a 1-inch tweeter, we're now mating it with a 2 3/4 inch mid-range driver. So now we have a two-way component system that works in a lot of OE systems that already have a 2 3/4 inch. In the past, we asked you to put a single 1-inch tweeter in that location, and of course you could do that, but you might lose some of the overall output because you're moving to a smaller driver. So now we have the ability to add a 2 3/4 inch with a 6x9 located in the door or sometimes the rear package tray. So this is a great addition to the KS lineup. In addition, these include this great mounting bracket system, which of course magnet is stuck to everything metal. This great mounting system, we include these in the package. So no matter what 6x9 factory location you have, we've got a bracket included in the packaging to make that work with your vehicle. Think trucks, right? Yes, a lot of challenging 6x9 locations in trucks. So that's included in the packaging. And then we also have these great mounting options for the 2 3/4 inch. So if you got a Subaru or a Toyota or a Chrysler or a Dodge, any of those that have a 2 3/4 inch from the factory, we now have a bracket adapter included in the packaging. These are actually patent pending too. Very clever. Our engineers came up with this design. Very clever design. So these 2 3/4 inch component system made it to a 6x9, new for 2021. Now we have what's often called the Snowman Pod. It is not a snowman. It is no relation to anything cold. It's actually quite cool, but not cold. Is that an oxymoron? Probably it is. But anyway, this is a speaker pod that houses a tweeter and a 2 3/4 inch driver. Now this is a specific pod that is designed to bring the music up off the door or up off the floor and bring it up high on the dash. Mr. Irby was interviewed a couple months ago now, talking about this. And what really gets him excited about it is the fact that you can now control the phase of the output, where in the past your tweeter and your mid were separated by great distance, which can affect the phase. But now that the tweeter's right on top of the mid-range and they're up on top of the dash with fewer obstructions, you can control the phase of the system, which helps the overall clarity and the depth in the musical reproduction. So you might have a 6.5 inch woofer down low in the door, you put this up on top of the dash, and now you've got a seamless three-way system that blends beautifully and sounds incredible. Now you're probably thinking about the key amplifier. Key amplifier technology, unbelievable. For less than $300 US, you've got an incredible amplifier that has DSP built in. It also does what's called biamp mode. So you could actually take a factory installed mid-range speaker, take a key amplifier, add this on top of the dash, and now you've got an incredible sounding three-way system that is time corrected, level corrected, and frequency response corrected to give you amazing staging and imaging from a very simple upgrade. So that's the new pods. In addition, how are we doing on time? We're okay on time. Okay, so next up we want to talk about the V-Series installation kits, which I don't have one here. I got to tell you, we are selling a ton of car stereo right now, as you guys and girls know. Thank you very much. And so I don't have a V-Series kit to show you right now. But what I want to tell you about the new V-Series kit is it's a value-oriented kit. Kicker's always been known for great high-quality installation components. And this is no exception, except now it's at a greater price point. So it comes in an 8-gauge and a 6-gauge kit. It has everything you need to complete the installation. Oh, look at that. Whoa! Tim was betting I could catch something. Whew, good thing I played basketball in junior high school, right? So we do have a V-Series kit here, and I'll show you what's inside this kit. This is the 8-gauge kit. So you've got some speaker wire. You've got your fuse. We've got our power wire, ground wire, the little spade terminal, loomed, it is pre-loomed, and of course a set of RCA cables and remote turn-on wire. Now you're probably wondering, Aaron, really, is that oxygen-free copper like everything else Kicker makes? Yes, it is OFC. It's true OFC, and it's true full gauge, American wire gauge. It is actual OFC cable, 8-gauge or 6-gauge, depending on the kit. So you're getting the really good stuff. And in addition, you're getting another year warranty on your Kicker amplifier. When you use our installation components, specifically our power and ground wire, you add another year on top of your amplifier warranty. because we are so sure that it makes a huge difference that we build that in. So when you're using our kit and our amp, you get a better warranty, better guarantee. So everything you need to install it right here in the package. Again, it's a 6-gauge and 8-gauge kit. Full spec, everything is top-notch kicker, just at a lower price point. Lastly, we've got, I got to bring Kip back in here. Kip, are you here? Are you here somewhere, Kip? Kip wants to talk about the SoloX. Again, that's the key word. And I decided I was going to let Kip talk about the SoloX because Kip has done some of the R&D for this product. He's actually gone into the field and he's talked to some real hardcore bass heads about this product before it became something we could show you. So, Kip, you want to drop some knowledge on these guys?
I don't want you to go anywhere. You stay right here with me.
Let me stand on the other side?
Yep, sure. Let's swap. Let's dance. Da, 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 da. After you, my sir.
3-step.
You know, L7X, as it's known, is part of what we like to refer to as the SoloX family. And if you've been lucky enough or not lucky enough yet to watch an actual Unmasked live episode, there's the patented Kip wink. And so when I tell you this is part of the SoloX family, does that mean there's other things coming? So we'll leave it at that.
Dust in my eye?
Dust in my eye. But the L7X is, we've been developing this driver, and it's right, we did. We went out in the field, we actually went to final events, bass shows, we talked to the bass heads, we talked to the SPL enthusiasts, the guys who want to, actually, as I refer to it, they want to float bricks in the windows. And today I almost think they want to float babies in the window. That'd be the next step. But they really want to move some air. And we listened to the input, we looked at the cars, we watched how they were using the product, we asked a lot of questions, we listened, we then asked a lot of questions back and said, well, what do you think about this? And so L7X is a culmination of a little over 3 years now at this point, of us really asking the market, what would you want from a high output subwoofer from a legendary brand such as Kicker? And of course, ever since we came out with the original SoloX, everyone has started, especially in the last few years, it's like, when are you going to bring the SoloX back? We'd love to see the SoloX come back. When are you going to bring back the SoloX? And so this is SoloX coming back, but so everyone understands that SoloX is going to be a family of products. L7X is the first monster that's going to come into that realm right there. And the L7X, as you can see from the cutaway right here, it is going to use a triple stacked ferrite magnet design in the process of this. The one you're looking at right here, I do have to tell you, this is a prototype. We're not at the final stages quite yet. We actually let the cat out of the bag, so to speak, on this product at our original Unmasked show that we did back in October, which was a replacement for going to the SEMA show in Vegas because we couldn't go. There was no show.
Right.
And so understand, you're looking at a prototype, but there's going to be a very long extended pole, as you see here. This is a prototype, so it's actually a two-piece design. It won't be a two-piece design in production. This was in prototype testing. It is going to be a 3-millimeter double pulp press paper cone, so it's extremely rigid. It's very light. It's going to be able to handle all those extreme cases you're going to do. We're staying with our legendary Santoprene surround on this. We did look at foam. We tried foam. We experimented with foam. It just didn't meet our life testing. It didn't really stand up to what we thought a woofer should do.
Tell them what really happened, Kip.
What really happened? The foam broke. The foam broke. It broke, so we're not going to use it.
It's shredded.
It's shredded. Shredded is a good way to put it. But the really cool part about this driver is we've done initial testing on these with the prototypes, and when I say initial testing, we're playing these with 20 hertz to 80 hertz pink noise, and we've done 8-hour testing on these at 2,000 watts of power. And when I say that, I'm referring to the 12 when I throw a number out there. All the specs for these will be released when we're getting close. We're really hoping late third quarter this year is what we're targeting, but cross your fingers, that's what we're shooting for. We're still doing a little tweaking, a little tuning to get these to do what we want, because we don't want it just to be able to float babies. We also want it to sound good while it's floating the babies. And so this thing is going to be an extreme woofer that you can use for moving lots of air at low frequencies, but also if you're just looking, you want to do an SQ build, but you're wanting to be able to do 150, 155, 160.
I want to jump in on that real quick, because several years ago, when I first came to Kicker, about 2007, I was reading a German hi-fi magazine. I was reading in English, I don't speak German. And they actually said the SoloX 18 was the best sounding subwoofer they'd ever auditioned.
You are 100% correct on that, and I'd forgotten about that, so thank you for refreshing that, but you are correct. It was, was it German hi-fi? I can't remember, but you're right. But they did call the original SoloX the best sounding sound quality woofer they had ever tested up to that point. So understand, our heritage is not just about moving a lot of air. Our heritage is about making something that sounds good doing it. And this driver is going to get that job done. It's going to be coming late third quarter. That's our target. But understand, guys, we're talking on preliminary information here, and so things are subject to change. If you want to know the latest information on any new product like this or anything Aaron's discussed, you need to stay tuned in to Kicker Unmasked Live Weekly. We do that every Tuesday night, 7:30 Central Time, and it's on our Kicker Facebook and Kicker YouTube channels. And we do updates. So if there's an update to share, we let people know we're out in this. So if it's going to be early, you'll find out. If it's going to be a little bit later, you'll also find that out. But we are really striving hard to get this out. There's a lot of enthusiasm for this driver. It's going to handle a ton of power. It's going to sound great doing it. And like the original SoloX, it's going to be field repairable or replaceable. The bottom line is, guys, this is a product that is designed for guys who are taking it out there, throwing tons of power, they're going to abuse it. It's almost like a drag race car on the weekend. Every time you go down the run, they come back and pull the motor out. It's at $80,000. You do a run, it's $80K. Want to do another run? Let's throw another one. It's another $80K. But these are going to be designed to take as much abuse as we can, as much power as we can, but if or when you do break one, you'll simply be able to, and this is a spare, as we like to call it, and so you will literally be able to, in the field, you'll be able to remove the top aluminum plate. You'll be able to remove the screws from the back, and I don't know if Tim will be able to get any view of this from the back side, but if you can look here on the back, right here where my finger's pointing up here, these are actually brass inserts that are inserted into the polymer. So it isn't just plastic, it's a polymer blend. It's got fiberglass and other things in it. It's a really strong material. But this bolts into the bottom of the basket, as you can see, with 8 screws on the bottom. And then on the top side, it also bolts in with 8 screws on the top. And what's really cool about this, I mean, our engineers, they've done their homework. This driver, you're bolting this top aluminum frame onto the aluminum basket. Well, the last that we thought about is, we really don't want you bolting in and out of aluminum, because over time that's going to lose out. Right. So there's actually helicoil type inserts in this aluminum frame, so when you're bolting in and out, you're actually screwing into a helicoil. So it's designed for long life. You're going to be able to take this off, replace that driver, put another one in, and what's really cool about it is, you know, Steve started off in audio, and we figured acupuncture would be the next thing, or salsa. We also get into salsa. We brought Franco on board. That's a inside joke you'll have to learn, but these are actually alignment pins that are going to come with the SoloX, and one of the things you have to worry about when you're doing a rebuild in the field is you've got to get that coil centered around the pole so that you don't have any rubbing to cause failure or noise. So these actually will insert through holes that are in the back of the motor. You insert all these pins in, and the cool part is it'll go and stick right to the pole piece because it's magnetic. And now when you drop this in from the front, there's all these pins sticking up. You simply drop your cone in. This gives you perfect centering as the cone. Here, I'll kind of give you, since we're doing a close-up, this pin will go on the inside of the coil former, and you'll drop this down and get it into position. And once you have all the pins in the back, you've lowered this into place, you bolt all the screws back up. So bolt the 8 screws on the bottom, bolt the 8 screws on the top plate, and then pull the pins out, and you will get every single time perfect alignment of that voice coil in the gap, which is what you need to have so that it doesn't have premature failure and it sounds great while you're doing it. So this is a much more advanced method that's going to give you repeatable accuracy than we did in the original SoloX driver. So stay tuned. This is, and I heard Aaron in the beginning, this is one of the products that people are very excited about. We're excited to be able to bring it to market. Thankfully, Steve agrees. These are going to be high performance drivers. And out of the gate, I didn't hear if you covered sizes, but out of the gate, we're looking at doing these in a 10, a 12, and a 15. Now, the Unmasked Live weekly show that we do, yes, people said, well, what about an 8? Well, what about an 18? Well, what about a 6.5? You know, you train, you get all those questions.
Yes.
Here's what we're going to tell you guys. Unmasked Live Weekly has become a conduit, not just for us to tell you about products, but it's a conduit where we can get direct feedback from you on what do you think? What other sizes? What other features? What do you guys want to see come from Kicker? And this information that we get funnels right into our product development team. It's a powerful tool for us. So I can't tell you we're doing an 18 or an 8 or a 6.5, but I will tell you this, we listen to your input. So it's important that you give us that. So this is the new L7X. This is going to be a fantastic driver, whether you're just looking to put up a big number on a meter, whether you're looking to move a lot of air or a lot of wind in your vehicle and get that windy effect and float things, or if you just want a high output SQ system, this driver is going to be able to give it to you. And we're proud of this. I've sat in on multiple listening sessions on this driver. It sounds fantastic. I'm excited because I think a few of the 15s are going to find their home in my home theater.
You know, Mr. Irby recently bought a Tesla. Tesla, is it X,
I think is what
Tesla
he got.
X. And we were checking it out in the parking lot a few days ago, and it looks like there's enough space for maybe a SoloX 10 in there.
Ooh.
So I've been trying to, talk up a little bit. Hey, mister, maybe it's time to put a SoloX 10 just for testing purposes, right?
Well, he's going to need the woofer, and then he's going to need an amplifier to go with it. So what'll be cool is his little dash monitor that says you're going to get 300 miles out of this charge on the pack. It's going to come down to like, you're going to get 200 out of the charge on this pack, because obviously you're getting the power from somewhere.
Yeah.
That'll be pretty cool to see. But yeah, this is going to be a great product. It's going to be fantastic. We're excited to get it out in the field. Just tell you from Unmasked live feedback, the excitement for this. So just stay tuned. It's coming. Guys, we want to get it out to you as quick as we can. Questions, comments, always hit us up in our Kicker social feeds. We want to answer those questions. And we hope you join us on Unmasked, because we cover all this stuff and more every Tuesday night.
Excellent.
So what else you got?
Well, we've covered everything that's new. Let's take some questions now.
We got some questions come in from the field.
We covered everything at a high level, so if there are questions that people really want to know stuff, we can dive a little deeper. Ben,
Well, I'll tell you what, guys. Hold on. Let me just set us up.
Oh,
All right. Let me put Dave.
I don't have any sound.
Hello. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you just fine. Apparently Aaron dropped out.
Yeah, I don't have any sound.
The beauty of Bluetooth.
Yeah, we hear Aaron though.
Oh, yeah, he's on a separate mic pack. Here, I can hear you. Go ahead and ask, guys.
All right. Well, I've been taking notes, and I've got a couple of comments I want to share, and I want Dave to chime in on these comments as well. So, first and foremost, congratulations on that monster beast. I can barely call that a subwoofer. I think it needs a new category. Blowing my mind with just the construction, the dual spiders, but what's really blowing my mind, has there ever been a subwoofer that could be field repaired?
Well, what I'll say is the original SoloX from us was field repairable, but we can't take the badge of honor as the only ones. Actually, on the pro sound side of the world, and that's with Steve being a pro sound guy in the beginning, is where he probably got this idea. Is I'm trying to remember who it was, but there was a model. It was called Spider, and was it? Well, maybe it was Peavey. I may be correct on that. We'll have to double check. But Peavey did a line of field replaceable cone spider assemblies, and it was called the Spider. That was the series name of it. But that was in Pro Sound quite a few years back. Other than that, I don't know of any.
I mean, in car audio, I've never heard of such a ridiculous concept. And the fact that no, I'm being serious, because I mean, even to the point where you have the pins to align for everything about that is just so far left field. It's crazy, and I love it. That's number one. Number two.
Sure, go
Sorry.
ahead.
No, go ahead.
No.
Okay.
Go for it.
No, you go for it, Kip. You have something to say. Say it. Say it.
One of the things is, you bring that up about the field replacement. The SoloX, as far as our industry, was a trendsetter. It's really set the bar for that. But what a lot of people didn't realize is something we had to deal with the company is over time, when you're manufacturing a part, you use tools and dies and stamps and all these things to make each individual part. And what actually happened to the original SoloX over time is part drift. So you get things that start wearing or things, and it may not, so it's like this might shift 0.01%, and that doesn't sound like a big deal. And then you might get the next part might drift 0.01%, and that doesn't sound like a big deal. But when you're assembling 9, 10, or 11 parts and you get those all together, you get what's called stack-up error, stack-up tolerance drift. And what was happening with the original SoloX is the tools were just getting to the end of life. We weren't selling as many of that products because that was the time during the economy that went away and hid somewhere. We're still, I think he's back and he's stronger than ever, but during that time frame, he found the corner and hid. And so we had to shelve that project, because to go back, we'd have to completely redesign the tooling for that product to continue making it, and it just didn't work for us at that time. There weren't enough sales to justify it. That market was kind of falling off during that time frame. The economy was a thing. So with that dying out, and now the resurgence that we're seeing and the interest in this product, what's really cool about it is it gave our engineers a second chance to go back at that. And by using this method right here and what they came up with as far as inserting these through the back and the alignment, this is a no drift, works every time method to insert a new spare into this. And so this is actually what SoloX started. This is Gen 2 of replacement, and it's better than ever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, very well. Going quickly to my second point, I'm going to go back to Aaron on this one. Aaron, you can hear me now?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, so if we take a look at those sound bars, you mentioned a key feature that I think we need to kind of drill in on a little bit, and that is broadcast mode. I have seen similar type of technology, I guess, that you could come in and have dedicate one DJ, and the DJ has control of all. But what you're talking about is a built-in feature that can go up to how many units?
Well, the practical limitations that have been tested by our factory is 100, but they haven't tried beyond 100.
Okay.
So we know definitely we can get 100 out of these. But really, the limitations are we don't know yet. And of course, the big benefit is not that you've got 100 friends with power bars. The big benefit is that you've got a party barge, and you've got 4, 5, 6, 7 of these, some aiming in, some aiming out, and they're all playing the same source of music, and you're controlling the party, and that's the big benefit.
What I wanted to get to, though, Aaron, is there additional hardware required to link all these power bars together?
Nope.
Wow.
There's not.
That is a game changer. Game changer.
Yeah, it's all built in. And you know, it's funny because we started playing with this technology with our Bullfrog. So the original Bullfrog, the 100, the 200, and the 400, they all had a single, what we call double kick, which was basically a broadcast mode. So you could have 2 Bullfrogs, you still can, playing the exact same music. But we said, hey, why limit it to 2? Let's go to 100 or beyond. And so that's why we put that technology in these, but then up the ante with multiple broadcasts.
Yeah, that is very well known. I'm sure dealers are going to click on that, because if you have, especially in the marine application, side by side, like or for that matter, golf carts for campgrounds, you can quickly get together a big party, and everybody could have fun with that. Last one, Dave, and I promise I'll let you talk. Okay, I gotta actually take a breath for this one. Can we zoom in on that pod product, please? Okay. So I don't know if the Kicker Studios can give us a product shot of that.
Yep. Our camera guy's working on it right now. Give him just a second.
This, Dave, for me, is this is blowing my mind right here. Why has this never been introduced in the market before? I feel it is a game changer. It's ingenious. It looks great. It looks hi-fi, audiophile, all that good stuff. And I mean, I'm just looking at that from a fabrication standpoint, trying to get, great sound on your dash and raising the profile of your sound stage. Wow, that's a wow for me, Dave. That's it.
Yeah, well, a lot of guys are building pillars and that sort of thing, but I mean, that's an expensive route to go. And I want to point out, when we were looking at that picture, I mean, it's sitting on a platform. There's not this big U-shaped clip that you got to slide in under your dash or anything like that. Essentially, I believe you just drill a hole and you get to screw it in from the underside. So it's not big and bulky. Exactly. Pretend Aaron's hand is the bottom there. It's not big and bulky. It can pretty much integrate into every application, any vehicle out there. And, it's economical,
What? You didn't just do that.
So, the flexibility, that it offers is unlike anything that we've seen in the market. And I think that's going to be a #1 seller for us. Very cool.
And here's the thing, I wanted to show that to you. The whole pod will swivel on itself, so you can adjust the entire pod how you want, and then you can also clock the tweeter. So left, right, however you want to do it. If you prefer your tweeters in, you prefer your tweeters out, whatever you want to do, you can adjust this thing anywhere you want, clock the tweeter anywhere you like, and then there's actually, and if I remember, I think it's 3mm. In the back, there's a rubber plug. You pull the rubber plug, tighten down the 3mm screw, and you've locked it into that position. So this is extremely configurable. Once you decide where you're going to put it in your car, you have almost unlimited flexibility, even after it's mounted, to get it aimed where you want to get that soundstage the way it needs to be in your vehicle. So, yeah, there's a lot to this.
I'm going to ask one more question, and if you answer what I think you're going to answer, I'm just going to shut up for the rest of the segment. Can you bi-amp that?
100%. Both wires come out the back. You can use the passive crossover that's included.
Get these guys off the screen.
Or you can use any type of bi-amp situation you want, like, say, a key or anything else. So, yes, you can use the included passive or bi-amp to your heart's content.
Super cool. That is exciting. And when are we going to see that again?
April, is that right? April, May?
I don't have a date.
Unfortunately, Dave, I wish I did. I have a sheet that has all this information. I'm trying to remember. I think we're looking at these hopefully like May timeframe, I think, is when they're going to be available.
So sometime this year, which is awesome.
Yes, they're going to be this year. As everyone alluded to in the beginning, last year, the year of COVID, has altered a lot of things for everyone and how we do things. And one of the great things that come out of it is this unmasked venue that we've set up, because it allows us to gather and share information directly with anyone who wants to get it. But it's also slowed down development and timeline issues. So it's a struggle, but we're dealing with it with a smile on our face, and we're doing everything we can to make sure these products land as fast as feasible. And so if I remember the last I checked, this is like a April timeframe.
Now, as far as the quality, or not the quality, but those speakers that are in that pod are where in the hierarchy of speakers in
So
Kicker?
this is a 1-inch silk dome tweeter at the top. April. Tim is verifying April for sales. So available in April. A 1-inch silk dome tweeter on the top, and then it's an inverted aluminum mid-range dome on the bottom. So in the hierarchy of speakers, we don't have anything that really compares to this because of the way that it's set up, as Kip mentioned, because your tweeter is right on top of your mid-range, they're acoustically in phase. And so now you've got a whole new possibility of staging and imaging with that mid-tweet combined like that. And the installer doesn't have to do anything fancy or anything magical with an RTA or anything crazy, because it's all done for you. Now, of course, we always want to properly tune a system no matter what we're putting into a car. But this takes a lot of the hard part, the proper installation, out of it, so that your tweeter and mid are already acoustically in phase.
If it helps you out there a little bit, Ben, to add on or tack on to what Aaron said there, we actually had an internal argument whether this should be part of our KS line, which is basically our midline product, which we sell a ton of, or if it should be part of our QS line, which is our elite top-end product. And at the end of the day, we felt that even though what this does would fit in either category, we wanted to throw this into KS because we feel like a KS customer is going to be the guy who would quickly benefit from a product like this, whereas a QS customer probably wants to spend his time actually designing his own aim pillar and going down that route and doing integration. What I'll also say is, just because this is in the KS line, don't fool yourself. This can integrate with QS all day long, and it sounds great doing it. And when he talked about materials, you know, the little 2 3/4 that we do in the 6x9 system, this is a paper cone driver for a reason. Our engineers wanted to design that so this would play up as high in frequency as possible. You can run that, I call it a middler, but it'll play up almost without a tweeter. We're talking 18K plus is what this rolls out to before it starts rolling off. I've had it asked on the show, is this the same speaker that's over here in the Snowman or the tweeter pod? And it's not. This is a different driver. It's made with aluminum. It's actually a tuned enclosure. So what you're looking at here from the side, that is actually a tuned cavity for that driver. And our engineers made the right material choices, the enclosure design and everything, so that this gives us a smooth response. Not saying that this paper driver over here doesn't give you a smooth response, but it's two different animals. This is designed to be used with a tweeter, so this is a dedicated mid-range and a tuned enclosure, whereas this is a middler that's more designed to run up to 18K. So maybe that helps you understand where it sits in the scheme of things.
Exciting stuff.
Very, very exciting stuff.
I got a quick question, and it'll be a short one. So with the SoloX, will we see the Warhorse come back?
Wow, he went there on me. Here.
Them crazy Canadians, you're outnumbered, by the way. You're like 3-1 right now on the screen.
I'm gonna have a little, get in close. Get in close. I'm going to have a little fun with this because, you know, this kind of all started years ago as what we call the Kip and Dave show. And it was myself and Dave, who's now, as you know, Dave. And we started doing live videos from events out in the field. So this is the Kicker Unmasked now on with the Ben and Dave show. So it's kind of got that ring to it. But here's what I'm going to say. If you listened to me close at the beginning, I said SoloX family of products.
I don't know. I get some weird goosebumps when I see Kip wink at me like that, but I get it. Feel weird inside. Okay. Did that satisfy your question, Mr. Singh?
Well, you know, it's subtle, and yeah, I guess we'll see what happens.
All right. Listen. Go ahead.
I have to keep my job at the end of the day.
Let's let them know about some specials going on. What's going on? So we had a keyword come by, didn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, so the keyword for this session was SoloX. You know, speaking about crazy subwoofers, SoloX is going to be the keyword you're going to want to use to enter the contest that we're running. So thanks, Ben, for the slide there. We want to encourage you guys to watch the win. So using the keyword on this session and all the other sessions, you can submit them online or in the Facebook chat area. I believe some of our guys are putting the link there. But if you're a Gemsen dealer, you can log into the Gemsen dealer page and click on the CMA IW link. There's a form that you can enter those in. You'll have until April 30th to submit as many keywords as possible. If you do this before April 5th, though, if you watch these videos before April 5th and submit the keywords, you're going to get double the amount of submissions. And we're going to give away some awesome prizes. You know, you guys saw some of the headphones that those guys were wearing. You know, we have a few sets of those. We had some really, really cool big kicker products that we'll show on a separate slide. But we encourage you guys to watch these trainings and have a chance of winning some of these prizes. Also, if you're a dealer, you can log into our Gemsen page. You can place an order of any size. And just for watching today and entering CMA IW5 during the checkout process in the promo code area, you'll save an extra 5% off your order. So, you know, things that you can do to learn and to save and potentially win.
We're actually out of time, but what can I say, guys? Amazing presentation. Thank you so much for taking the time to setting this all up. The entire Kicker crew, not just Kip and Aaron, and I especially, and we here at CMA can certainly appreciate production value. It takes a lot to put these things together and put on a great show, and we're really happy and lucky to have you guys come on. And I'm sure Gemsen is pretty proud to have you guys on board as well.
Oh, we super.
Humbled and honored, and for all the 200-plus employees here in Stillwater, Oklahoma, thank you for having us on board. We are passionate about what we do every day, and we hope it shows.
We'll see you on the next one, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Dave, I got brains everywhere. That one got me going. You know, those guys know how to amp you up, and they amp me up. So other people must be amped up as well.
You know what an awesome company to deal with, and they certainly got their stuff together. Excellent presentation as always. You know, they always raise the bar, and you know, kudos to them for staying. You know, later in the night. You know, they've got a whole crew there. It's just not one guy. So you know, I'm eternally grateful for everything that them, including all the other vendors, are doing for us to help support the industry and help grow the knowledge with our dealers.
And my takeaway from this one, Kicker as a brand, really, I just love the energy they put into designing and creating new stuff, keeping it fresh, all categories, right? We had them in marine earlier today, and today they showed off a little bit of power sports stuff and car audio stuff, some new car audio stuff, which is, for me, super satisfying.
And unfortunately, we just didn't have the time, like we have X amount of time to deal with. But, you mentioned power sports. We didn't even, scratch the surface of the power sports applications they have for Harley Davidson's motorcycles, that sort of stuff. And, we'll do that in a future connected session, I believe.
Sounds good. Dave, signing off for this one. I'll see you back real short in a few minutes.
See ya. Bye.
What an awesome presentation. I hope you guys enjoyed that, whether you're watching live or you're tuning in on demand. Direct from Stillwater, Oklahoma, the Kicker team and their Unmasked studio. Some great new products and some great new offers coming to you from Gemsen Distribution. That's it for this one. I'm your host, Ben Wu, coming to you live from day 6 of CMA Industry Week. Until next time, we connect.